Today I fucked up by not apologizing to our farmer neighbors and, likely, ruining my parents' retirement home. I tried to get advice on this and stick to my principles by not offering an apology when not in the wrong, but I think it's become clear that I could have prevented this with a better attitude. I, 18 female. Live with my parents, and we moved last year away from a big city to a cheaper, more rural community in the Midwest, since my dad's retired now and money goes further here, to finish up my last year of high school. We have by far the smallest lot out here, but most of our neighbors are farmers with quite a bit of land. I don't feel like I fit in well with the neighbors and have had some arguments with some of them and their kids. They're up early making noise every morning with farm machinery, yelled at me for listening to rap music loud in the car late at night. It was only 9 or so, with a friend from high school, and most recently they let one of their cows get into our yard when it was grazing while I was out in the backyard, and I gave them a dirty look and stood there while they tried to get it back. Recently I guess he talked to my dad and gave him some sort of redneck "we don't take kindly" speech about my behavior, and that wasn't how things operated round these parts, and for me to apologize. So my dad asked me to, but I refused, because I think they're in the wrong towards me. I saw him out back one day and he asked me if I had anything to say about my attitude, and I said, "I haven't done anything wrong to you. I just think you should respect other people's property boundaries." So he said, "All right, have it your way," and walked off. Well, Dad and I left town for spring break, but when we came back we noticed construction was heavily underway, almost complete, on a large shed structure right up against the property line, maybe 20 feet from our house. My mom asked a woman who lives a bit further down if they knew what it was about, and they said, "Oh, yeah. Guess the word is that they've had some trouble with your daughter and they've made the decision to put in a pig barn." My parents freaked out, asked around and heard this was a known tactic to drive out unwanted neighbors and very effective. Dad called the city and asked about odor nuisance laws and what can be done, but was told the area is zoned agricultural, and that it was more of an honor system thing, that farmers wouldn't do that without more land. But technically he was allowed to have up to 200 pigs on the property. He asked the neighbor if he would reconsider, but he said that the order of pigs is already scheduled and his mind was made up. Now my dad is furious with me, and frantic about what to do. At first I told him to just ignore it and let them do what they're gonna do, but from the people I've talked to online they're saying that's probably not going to be a possibility for us. I thought he was overreacting at first, but now I'm facing the prospect that I really did crash the value of their property for good and that we're all about to be very miserable. They finished construction on the barn, so I guess the moment of truth is coming. Too long did not read. Provoked a farmer neighbor in this agriculturally zoned area, about to get 200 new oinking neighbors. Something tells me there's more to this story than loud music at 9 p.m. once and a nasty look. They're up early making noise every morning with farm machinery. Yeah. They're not up early making noise every morning for the sake of it. This is their livelihood. Why not go be the adult they wanted you to be and go up to the neighbors and ask for a conversation? Rural life is largely based on old-school values which include handshakes and honest chats. If I'm you, I walk over with a peace offering and say that you've been having a hard time adjusting to a new lifestyle, and regardless of their decision on the pig farm, you're sorry and hope you can work toward mending the relationship to at least be coexisting neighbors. It takes humility to apologize, and it would show a sign of respect to do this. Don't make excuses. Just get to the point. If you do this, absolutely do not qualify the apology with, "Well, I didn't because you were annoying too. Just my 2 cents. Ew. I have a strong stomach but pig stench is unbearable. 20 feet away, with summer coming up? You're all gonna be miserable." Original story for people who want to see the judgments. Today I fucked up by willingly depriving myself of sleep for days. Update. Against people's best wishes, I stayed up long enough to get some shopping done. I also had brunch with my girlfriend to make sure I had eaten enough. I got about 10 hours of sleep and feel pretty good now. I think the total time awake ended up being about 74-ish hours. Despite what people think, I promise I wasn't on the cusp of death. About to eat again and reply to some comments. Okay, it's 1:46 a.m. Wednesday the 22nd here, and I, 22m, have been awake since 12 p.m. Sunday for what I think makes almost 62 hours. I want to list a few observations. For context, this obviously wasn't the desired outcome. It started as intending to stay up for one night to get it done and got out of hand. Also, I in no way encourage taking Ritalin the way I did or mixing it with caffeine. I'm an architecture student in Australia and have an assignment due Thursday night and I had barely started. I've been fueling this exercise in what now feels like self-torture with, and do your best not to judge me, food. Sort of. On Sunday I ate approximately 300 kilocalories of leftover pasta. Monday was a big one. Unfortunately I did forget to eat all day, so it was a single godly meal centering on the divine large zinger box. This was paired with 3 wicked wings, a maxi popcorn chicken, a supercharged slider, and a pepper mayo slider. No idea the calories, but well and truly a feel like absolute shit quantity. Tuesday I had 2 bows, a far cry from the prior binge, but haven't had any desire to eat. A steady supply of prescribed Ritalin, starting with 40 mg at the beginning of a dedicated study session and an additional 20 mg every 3 hours to account for the half-life. I estimate I've munched down on about 300-ish mg so far. Sad face. Caffeine. Far too many Monster Mango Locos, Monster Zero Ultras, and cans of Red Bull. A simply exquisite Ritalin pairing that I could not recommend more, provided you want a couple of your primary senses, and what feels like new ones altogether, to gain the ability to scream at you with each rapidly quickening heartbeat. Pure delusion and stupidity with a helping hand from the sunk cost fallacy. Now the issues. Okay, the biggest thing is paranoia. At almost all times I can see what looks like someone moving just in the corner of my peripheral vision. Any small noises become an immediate spike of dread. I'm sitting in my uni commons room completely alone and don't really feel safe. I know I am, probably. I fear they notice me seeing them and hide really quickly. We'll need to investigate further. Lack of ability to think, plan. I just spent a good 3 minutes trying to plan how I would walk out of this building. None of the routes made more sense than another and I couldn't mentally envision myself moving at all, so they seemed equally good and worth re-pondering to get to the bottom of this dire conundrum. I should also add that I had no intention of standing, let alone going anywhere. It was just to see if I could. Then I got lost in it until I realized I'd been staring at the wall for far too long. I'm also realizing I can't conjure any mental images up either. Really cool for the drawing part of this assignment where I can't think of what I'm going to draw. I just zone out mid-thought and forget what I was thinking about. To be fair, I'm like that normally with ADHD too, but I feel like my head's a colander and my, obviously revolutionary, thoughts are that sweet starchy pasta water flooding out. Big jitters, earthquakes in the palms of my hands. Surgery patients fear me and jazz pianists want to be me. Currently listening to Ryo Fukui's Scenery, incredible jazz album. Not a single thought of value. Positives however, not looking nearly as disheveled as I should be. Don't get me wrong, my body's a mess. I'm pissing constantly. Each one a new hue between a radiant yellow and a tasteful sage green, every muscle and joint aching. You just read everything before this, you know it's not good. But, hair's sitting kinda nice, eye bags are hardly there, skin's not looking too bad. Overall I'd say a visual improvement. In conclusion, I spent an hour writing this because I couldn't slam 2 brain cells together to save my degree. I fear if I wrote to save my life, some subconscious force would keep them apart just to end this. I might even support the cause at this point. My now 63 consecutive wakeful hours have gleaned me an abundance of sweet fuck all. I truly believe the pitiful collection of subpar work I slapped together could have been done in a day or so of being rested. And not once did that fucker in the corner of my eye offer to help. I will be surprised if it's finished in time. I'm expecting the worst. Too long did not read. I've been awake for over 60 hours to work on a uni assignment. Have done less than I would have had I not. My once throbbing juicy brain is a mere paste pooling at the base of my skull. I fear failure is unavoidable and the consequences of my hubris lasting. Go to sleep. Uber home and sleep, you can't possibly put out sensible work like this. All of this is good advice, but please also stop drinking energy drinks and drink some water. You're dehydrated on top of everything else. Relatable content. Sad face. Go to sleep. Are you trying to be a Darwin Award winner or end up in a psychiatric hospital with a psychotic break? You might have to see someone to get some meds to help you sleep at this point, as your body and mind are in some serious shit. Do you have a trusted friend you can talk to and get you some help? Today I fucked up by taking a dump in her old toilet. This happened a few hours ago. I, 22M, am on a short 2-day trip to Kansas City and I needed a place to stay for 2 nights, so my friend that lives there, but was away, hooked me up with one of his better friends, 21F. She is super busy and I arrive late, so I only get to meet and talk with her shortly the first day as she picked me up from airport. But turns out she is hot and we get along more than well. She gives me extra key and the next evening, I am home first and she is coming earlier today too. She texts she is on her way and I am waiting. Her apartment is one of those older Soviet-built ones, so the plumbing is pretty weak there, some faucets barely work. Problem starts when soon after her message I get an urge to make shit. And taking a shit is somewhat sacred to me as otherwise I feel uncomfortable, so I can't postpone it for later. I knew it was risky, since I saw how weak the flush is, and if I can't get my waist down, that would kill all my dignity and whole vibe if she discovers. I do the deed. It's a few of those buoyant floaty types. I pray the Lord, sent potentially last words to my friends and press the rusted flush button. Some shit go down but two big turds still chilling above sea level. This is only beginning of the adventure. I regret my choices for a few moments, but then adrenaline takes over. The plumbing is bad so flush tank fills very slow and also it's apparently ineffective anyways. Need ideas. I resort to traditional methods. I find the biggest pot and start filling it up with that slow weak faucet. It felt like an eternity, 'cause she is there soon. It's full, I try to spill the payload of my savior pot onto my shit in a quick waterfall so it's effective. Nothing. Both happy turds still floating. Now the sweat kicks in. I think 2 pots unloaded in quick succession might do. So I get another one, start filling them with the old slow faucet. At this point I realized how fucked I am since she could be unlocking the doors anytime and find me here running this huge shit flushing operation. Anyways, eventually I fill the pots, I stack them up near the toilet and pour both as fast as I can. Progress achieved. 1 turd down. But one still having fun afloat. I can't afford extra 3-4 minutes to fill pots again and it may not work. At this point, I already had enough time to ponder the worst solution. In complete desperation, I fish out my toxic offspring, collect it with toilet paper, wrap it in it and proceed to balcony. It's 3rd floor and I see a little grassland at throwing distance, where it could blend in as innocent dogshit. I catapult my projectile. Mid-air it looses its paper cover and with its all-exposed beauty lands on the windshield of an old Toyota parked just by the grassland. I only briefly reflected on the kind of terror I caused as I really needed to wash my hand fast and she came just few moments after. We had a fun evening, my dignity remained, but now in bed can't sleep peacefully knowing my shit is out there on someone's Toyota. Too long did not read. Stayed at a girl's place. Took a dump in her toilet while she was on the way. Couldn't flush it even with 2 pots. Threw the turd out of window to a grassland but it landed on car. Of course it's gonna end up being her Toyota. Another problem that could have been solved with a poop knife. Legend tells that the Toyota owner is still seen roaming around looking at the sky searching for that giant seagull. I read Kansas City at first and then was like WTF. Why is there Soviet buildings in KC? Look, Daddy, it's a Toyota Tundra. Today I fucked up by jacking off too much. Well, until today, anyway. I, 19M. Finally explored my girlfriend's, 18F, body and lost my virginity. I was happy doing it with her, but then while we were doing it, I realized something, I couldn't feel anything. And my donger was starting to become soft even though the woman of my dreams was literally on top of me riding it. She was feeling good and she said I was doing great, but soon enough she was already getting tired and she asked me why I haven't came yet. Not wanting to make her think she wasn't satisfying me, I blamed the rubber, and started eating her out to distract her. It took me 4 hours and 3 condoms to finally shoot my load, and it was the best one I had in all my life. Still, I wished I could have came more and really enjoyed my first time with her, and I wished I didn't choke my donger as much as I did before today and desensitized my dick so much, so that I could have felt things better. On the bright side, I learned a lot of things about a woman's body. One of the things I learned is that the clit isn't as hard to find as people make it out to be. My girl was happy. I was so relieved when she said that I wasn't as small as I thought I was, which definitely boosted my confidence. And lastly, my friends cannot tease the shit out of me for being a virgin anymore, because I am no longer one. So to my virgin brethren out there, don't jack off too much, or you won't enjoy your first time. Too long did not read. I jacked off too much before I lost my virginity, and I couldn't enjoy my first time as much as I wanted to. At least my girl was happy, I guess. No first time goes ever as in the movies. First-timers either come too fast or don't come at all. Congratulations. My question is, how exactly did either of you guys go at it for 4 hours? That sounds exhausting and potentially painful after a while. No joke, buy the expensive ones. It will help. Cheap rubbers are one hell of a rob. Anxiety and nerves can also contribute to what you experienced. It took me 4 hours and 3 condoms to finally shoot my load. My first time was over right after it started. Insert. Pull back, push in, repeat 2 more times in quick succession. Done. I think most people remember their first time having sex as their worst time having sex. It gets better.